Good afternoon, Coach. If we could begin with having you provide an opening statement.
Yeah, super excited to be here. Congratulations to all the teams that are here, and look forward to tomorrow night.
We'll open up with questions for the student athletes.
Nancy Armour, USA Today. Aliyah and Zaya, over here. There's been so much talk and attention about this game, this Iowa-South Carolina matchup. I think people have been anticipating it all year. What is it like to be a part of that, and what does it say about the growth of the women's game that this is probably the most highly anticipated game at either one of the Final Fours?
Yeah, it's really exciting. Just like you said, everybody has been talking about this matchup for a really long time now, but it's exciting that, it's happening in the Final Four. I think it's just a great game for women's basketball. I know there's going to be a lot of people in the crowd, a lot of people watching the game, and so it's just super excited to be in that environment.
I just think that it just shows how much women's basketball is evolving, and people actually want to see us play. And luckily, it's two good teams playing against each other in the Final Four. And like Aliyah said, I think a lot of people are going to watch it. I think it's going to do big numbers, and it's going to be a game that's down in history.
We'll take a question to your left.
Hi, Aliyah. Maggie Hendricks from Bally Sports. I know that the WNBA draft is not at the front of your mind, but it is very soon. So I wanted to ask, what do you think you will bring to a team at the next level?
That's a great question. I think my voice, number one, I think that I'm going to be a great communicator to the team. I think my post presence, I'm going to try and just continue to be that dominant post presence no matter who I'm playing against.
We have a question in the front row on your right-hand side.
David Cloninger, Post and Courier. Zaya, you and Caitlin played together on a Team USA, I believe the under-16 team. Just what do you remember about that matchup, and how has she grown, and how much are you looking forward to this matchup?
Yeah, Caitlin has always been a knockdown shooter since I can remember, and she's also a great teammate. I think we played together 2 years. It was 2 years. All three of us played together. But she's definitely a knockdown shooter. But her game has grown tremendously in a lot of different ways, and I can't wait to see it.
She is great.
Question to your left.
Jen Hadfield with the Next. For both of you, from the outside, it can look almost easy to do what you've done, go undefeated so far, because you guys make it look easy at times. But I'm just curious, what are, one or two challenges you faced along the way to get to this point?
I think just bringing it every single day. That's a huge challenge, and not a lot of people can do it. To be able to come into practice every day and know that you have to set the tone. You can't take any shortcuts. You can't take any breaks. And it's very hard. A lot of people don't understand how hard it is to be at the top. It's actually harder to be at the top than anywhere else, I believe. So, like I said, you got to always keep your foot on that gas, and you have no time to take breaks off.
I also agree with that part, but then also just continuing as upperclassmen, bringing the underclassmen along with us, that you want them to know that they can be confident to shoot their shot in the game, just be confident and ready when their name is called.
Question for Kareem. You can go ahead.
Kareem Copeland, Washington Post. This one's for you, Aliyah. Dawn has talked a lot about the sacrifices that you made for your own individual numbers and things like that. I'm just curious, was there a time where maybe that stuff was more important to you and that you've grown, and how rewarding is it, to make that extra play where you're setting up your teammates instead of necessarily, going for yours, quote unquote?
Yeah, I think I've always been that type of player that wants the betterment for the team. And so, just like you said, like my numbers are down, but I think it's because of what we have going on here. Everyone is stepping up, everyone is hitting shots. I think everything is being carried equally, and it's really good. If I could do it again, I would.
Maria McElwain, Philadelphia Inquirer. So we've seen that there's more interest in the women's game through TV viewership. How does it feel to be part of a growing movement, and how have you seen that grow over your 4 years? For both y'all.
Okay. It feels really nice. You can always think about people making negative comments about women's basketball, women's sports in general, but it's proof that the numbers are going up. Everyone is excited to watch the women's game. Everyone is buying their tickets to travel to watch their favorite players, watch their favorite team. And so you can't really deny that people are interested. in watching women's sports, and so it's just really excited to be part of the generation that's continuing to help it grow.
Agreed.
Either one of the players, Lauren Moses of Valley Sports. I'm curious on how the alum of South Carolina have really encouraged you guys in your journeys ever since you were freshmen up until now. They've been in the same place. How have you guys used that encouragement, and how have you been able to do that for your freshmen?
Aliyah, if you could start first for us.
Oh, shoot. A lot of the alum, I mean, they come back, they come to practice. They even reach out and they talk to us about things. There have been a couple times where Asia's reached out, and they travel like Ty travels, and they just come and they want to support. They want to support us, and they just give us tips. They've been where we are, and so they just want to see us grow. And for us helping the underclassmen as of right now, I mean, they're our sisters. We want to see them shine because we understand at some point we're not going to be on the same team with them, and they're going to be the new leaders of the program. And so we want them to just continue the tradition that we have.
I agree. I think the alums have definitely helped me out a lot, especially all of the guards. With Ty being here with us, she's been giving me tips just to be on a big stage again. And like I said, I want to do the same thing for the younger ones. I always looked up to Ty, and I think I've done a pretty good job at leading the younger ones in the space that I'm in right now. So it's just a blessing to be here.
For Aliyah and then Zaya, Pete Yanity from WSPA TV. They've got obviously a great player, guard, who scores 27 a game. They've got a post player who scores, I think, 17 a game. So when have you encountered maybe an outside-inside threat like that this season? And talk about kind of scouting it and defending it, and how you can take care of one and the other at the same time.
I think our whole league has prepared us. There have been teams that we play with a great post player and great guards that just do a great job passing the ball. And so I think we've been prepared for that, just understanding how we're going to do that. And, we're scouting them, understanding what they do well, just understanding that we're going to have to compete, be ready for 40 minutes, and just pressure them.
I agree, but I also think we just can't focus on them. They have a whole starting five that we have to worry about. I think if we just get too focused on the main player, then we'll let others get off. So Coach definitely emphasized on that to make sure that we're playing everyone, and everyone that's on the floor is doing their defensive job to stop the team from doing what they usually do.
Alan Cole, GamecockScoop.com. For either of you, you had a chance to get here that first year, and obviously the pandemic cut that short. How much did that motivate you, and kind of what was that time like during the pandemic, and I guess how much did it motivate you to maybe get back here once you did get a chance to play in tournaments 3 straight years?
Yeah, the pandemic was definitely something that really hit hard, especially because we were doing so well in the season. But I think it motivated us because, we could never get that year back, but we did want to experience that March Madness, that Final Four, that national championship. And so, since that has happened, it's just something that we just continue to work on because we know that that is a year that we can never get back to experience this.
This is for both of you guys. Obviously, you've been on this stage before here at the Final Four, but this is your guys' send-off Final Four. Is there any different feelings about this one, and is there any pressure to go out on top?
I think pressure can either make you or break you, so I just want to use the pressure that I have in the best way possible to make me go out there and play very hard. But it definitely is an emotional moment just to know that this will be our last time all together, playing together. But we try to keep our emotions to the side and just focus on business right now.
Alexis Davis, Rising Media Stars. Question for Aliyah and Zaya. Being that your coach, Dawn Staley, has played at the highest level, WNBA, gold medals, everything, the whole nine, what has she taught you about how to handle the spotlight and making sure that you don't let it overwhelm you and you're focused on game time play?
Yeah, Coach is a legend. That's just what she is. And so for us to be coached by her, it's just something truly special. But just like you said, she's taught us how not to get too high, just like you said, and too low, because staying balanced is the most important thing. Being able to compartmentalize different aspects of what's happening, but be focused and ready to go when it's time to step on the floor.
I think something Coach always had to tell me is don't get too high with the highs or low with the lows. She just says maintain. So that's what I try to do the best I can. It took me a while to get here, but I finally can maintain.
To your right.
Hey, Emily Adams with the Greenville News. You guys, this program won its first national championship in this arena when you guys were being recruited. Do you guys remember watching that game at all, and kind of how much of an influence did seeing them win that title have on your decision to come to South Carolina?
Yeah, I definitely, I definitely remember watching that game. I'm pretty excited, thinking about my decision and that game specifically. I think just overall what South Carolina's about, them winning a national title was pretty cool because I knew that I wanted to also do that and play under Coach Staley.
I think after I watched that game, I told my dad, I want to go there. I want to go there. So, but of course I had to weigh out my options. But when I saw them win a national championship and just seeing the type of person Coach was and the players that she was recruiting, it definitely made me want to come here.
To your left.
Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette, either of the players. How much of a challenge is Iowa's pace and the speed that they play with?
I think we also like to push pace. We like to get up and down the floor. So I think it could be a fast-paced game. I don't think we're going to look at it as a challenge because they like to get up and down the floor, because we enjoy doing that as well.
And our final question to the back and the right for the student athletes.
For Aliyah and Zai, Chaz Frazier, ABC Columbia. Sticking with the theme of the alumni, that 2017 team, have any of the people or the players reached out to you and gave you any advice since they played at this site and won the first national championship here?
Just telling us to just compete. That's really what it is. Be ready, because we're built for the moment.
Same.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll open up for questions for Coach Staley. Amanda, we'll start with you from front office.
Hi, Amanda from Front Office Sports. I'm over here. Hello. So you've talked a lot about, as far as investment in the women's game, the women's tournament getting units, maybe breaking off the media rights package. Let's say the NCAA does get more money to invest. In addition to units, what would you like to see them invest in to improve the women's Final Four even more?
You said aside from the units? I think we're moving in the right direction. I thought that being a part of 2 regional sites and how well that went off. I think the structure was there because that's what the men do. So that was pretty cool. The units are pretty big. That's pretty big because that's the thing that's been weighing us down, meaning it costs a lot to bring all of these teams all around the country in the tournament, and if we can bring millions into our athletics departments, I think it would help. It would help on our campuses. So it's a long-term effect, where if you're a football player, your experience is probably a lot different than a women's basketball player. We can all agree to that, because they're bringing in the money, right? And then if we're bringing in the money, our experience will be a little bit different. And then there are things that coaches won't have to fight for. They just happen because you're bringing in some money. You're not seeing the red always. So that's what that would mean. So it just will elevate the whole student-athlete experience from a women's basketball perspective.
We're going to stay to your right, Coach.
Nancy Armour with USA Today Sports. 2 completely unrelated questions. What makes Aliyah such a great player? And then the second question is, you have been very visible in terms of using your platform. When and why did you decide that was so important? And what kind of message do you think you're giving to your players by being as vocal as you are?
Aliyah is an extraordinary person. So it starts there. She's rooted in her faith. She has an incredibly beautiful family that they get it. they get it. They don't really take themselves too seriously. They've You know, they got a praying mother, and she's got a great support system. So Aliyah is allowed to be who she is. She's found herself at a young age because of the foundation that her parents built for her. And then, you know, as far as using my voice, I think I've been asked a lot more questions because of our success. If you ask me something that people ask me nowadays, 12 years ago, I would probably give you my heart, what was on my heart. I think the platform has gotten bigger because of our success, and I'm asked a lot more questions. So I try to give people what they ask me from my own experience. It may not be for everyone, but it's from my own experience from being around the game.
Coach, we're going to take 2 questions from your left.
Hi, Dawn. Maggie Hendricks with Bally Sports. You have this outstanding group of seniors who, plenty of them will be going to the WNBA. What are they going to be bringing to the teams that get them?
Our players are prepared. They're prepared for the rigors of the challenges of what the WNBA is all about. Whether that's, I think the biggest thing is they're mentally prepared for whatever a team needs, whether that's coming off the bench, whether that's being thrown in to being a starter, whether that's being able to communicate and pick up things fairly quickly, because the league moves very quickly. So the pace of the league, I don't think they'll have an issue picking up. And if you can pick things up, then you increase your chances of making a team and making an impact.
Andrea Adelson with ESPN.com. First, Dawn, what do you see in the matchup with Caitlin Clark? And along those lines, have you sensed any extra motivation or juice from your players? Because she's already won a couple of Player of the Year awards, and I'm sure they believe that the Player of the Year is on your team.
The juice is in the winning the national championship. Like, our players don't really care about anything else besides that. So I think we are, again, we're strong in our beliefs and what we do and how we've done things. And at this point, we just want to win, and that's their approach. And I love them for that. Like, they're not letting any one thing or any one person distract them from the goal at hand.
You're back right, Coach.
Hey, Coach. Pete Hannity from WSPA TV. When you won the first title, that was built with a lot of players from South Carolina, maybe more regionally. Obviously, this group comes from all corners of the globe. Talk about branching out. Was it just simply the success that got you on the radar, as maybe Zaya and Aliyah alluded to? And just what an interesting collection of kids from South America, Canada, and various, U.S. states and territories.
I think what's attractive about our program is I think we're just authentic. Whether you like us or not, you can respect where we're coming from. Like, I know the parents, the parents of the players or prospects that I recruit, that we recruit, they know that what we're telling them holds true from us telling them, and then when they come on the campus, they hear it from other players, they meet other parents, and it's something that you have to want for yourself and for your daughter, because it's not easy. Like, coming to South Carolina is not an easy thing. It becomes easier when you're able to grasp what we want. Like, we want them to be successful individually and collectively. How you get there is hard and it's uncomfortable. But once you're there, you have a pretty good understanding of how it works and how to be successful. Excuse me.
To your back and your left-hand side.
Hi, Coach. Jen Hadfield with The Next. Just curious, what have you learned from any of your previous Final Four runs at South Carolina that you can apply this year, either as you prepare individually or as you prepare your team?
I mean, I can remember there's just really a lot of stuff that you have to do. So if you don't know that and you're experiencing it for the first time, it's hard because you don't feel like you get enough time to prep. And it's the biggest stage of college women's basketball. Thank you. So that's what it is. I just prepare for long days and less prep time. But once you're here, you're not gonna create any magic. You're not gonna create any magic. And I do think rest is equally as important as getting out on the floor and working out. So just the experience of getting back here and knowing and where to focus, so.
Coach. Hey, Coach, Doug Feinberg, the AP. Ticket prices for the women is more than the men on average. There's an undefeated team with you guys. There's Caitlin Clark, there's Aliyah Boston. It seems there's a lot more interest and storylines on the women's Final Four and the men's Final Four. You've been around this game for a while. Is that a good thing to see, that the growth of this, that there's more interest and attention on the games on Friday than potentially on Saturday and then on Sunday instead of Monday?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's been building towards this for a long time, and fortunately for us, not just South Carolina, just us as women's basketball. I mean, we got a lot of star power behind our sport, and it increases. You just mentioned two, but you got Angel Reese, you got Amore, you got Kitley, you got all these players who have been incredible, just incredible, creating incredible stories for our game, and I do think that you all are telling them, and that's always a great thing.
Hi, Dawn. Maria McElwain from the Philadelphia Inquirer. A couple of unrelated questions. First one, kind of bouncing off of that. People were saying, "Oh, Dawn should go for the Temple men's basketball job." Did you have any thoughts on that? Obviously, you've got a good thing going here in South Carolina.
No thoughts. I don't want to coach in the men's game. Yeah.
Right here.
It's cold up there too.
Hey, Phil Kornblue, Sports Talk Media Network in South Carolina. Back in your playing days, when you were facing a great individual opponent, did you seek out the job of defending that opponent yourself? And inside your locker room right now, is there kind of a battle about who's going to defend Caitlin?
I mean, did I seek out? I don't know if I think Debbie Ryan just knew. I think she just knew, so it wasn't. I think she played off of my competitiveness, and so I think I guarded. Maybe Tammy guarded it. I don't know. But in our locker room, yes, they're super competitive. They all want a chance to guard her, and it's going to take all of them probably, and more to guard Caitlin. I mean, she is someone that is unpredictable. Like she'll be able to pivot and take and make incredible shots, both from outside, way outside the three to at the rim. So we got to show her different looks in order for us to, hopefully keep her somewhat under control.
Coach, we're going to go to your right-hand side, that third row.
My question for you is, obviously there's a lot more growth in the game, which has been great to see. How do you feel like that's affecting the basketball? Like each year is different, right? But can you feel the difference compared to last year? Do the extra eyeballs watching on TV are, making your players a little nervous, even more focusing on that? How do you sort of maintain the same kind of focus and performance that you've been able to as kind of the interest grows?
Well, I'll say this. The people in Columbia, South Carolina, our fans, our local media, they've put us on a big stage for a very long time. So we've created habits to help us deal with situations like this. Like, I don't think, our players are going to run from the spotlight. I think they run towards it because they want to win a national championship. So we've created habits and approaches to big games like this that will keep our nerves under wraps. And, for me, I follow their lead.
Hey, Dawn. Lakin Lippman with Fox Sports. All year we've kind of heard this, Caitlin Clark versus Aliyah Boston debate. How important is a debate like that for the growth of the women's game, and then to see it kind of unfold on the Final Four stage?
I mean, anytime that you're able to talk about our game and talk about two young women who have been storylines throughout the season, I think it's great. I do think some people do cross the line at times because they're each of their fan base's favorites. But it's being talked about. I don't like when people cross the line, and because our game is, it's pure. It's it's blossoming, but I guess it's part of sports when people can take jabs at either at either young people. I just hope they're not looking at it and seeing it, because it's not cool.
Coach, to your right in the back.
Coach Zach Perlutsky, Fox Carolina. What do you remember about that trip to Dallas in 2017 in the Final Four? And how do you think your program has grown, evolved to be here today, going for back-to-back thirds since then?
I love Dallas. I love Dallas. Dallas is where we got our first national championship. I just remember, obviously, the Dallas police officers, the motorcade, they get us where we need to go. It's super cool seeing that, and it was super cool to experience that again. I just remember the shot that beat UConn, and then having an all SEC national championship game, and then us knowing Mississippi State as well as we knew them because we played them 3 weeks before in the SEC tournament championship. And I just remember it's the familiarity of our opponent, and knowing that we got a really good shot at winning. And then our players, although it was really hard to win, they made a mounting comeback, but relieved that we actually won a championship.
Coach, we're going to stay back to that back row in the right-hand side.
Cora Hall for the Greenville News. Don, your players were just talking about the alum from that first championship team, as well as others they have relationships with. What does it mean to you to see your alum continue to pour into the current players, and also to see the ripple effect that has on them to want to continue that?
It's cool. Every season is a lot different, but every player that has played in our program, they leave a legacy of leadership that just continues to trickle down to the younger players. And I know, the players the former players that come back, the ones that are in the WNBA, they talk more about the WNBA than they do actually this moment that we're in. And I'm happy that they get to hear some of their experiences. Some of them got a big decision to make over the next few days. So it's cool that we got a somewhat of a cheat code of having a lot of players in the league to allow them to make an informed decision.
Coach Judy Gatson from WIS-TV, excuse me. Two questions completely unrelated. Number one, so much is being made of the individual awards, but when we look at Greenville and the MVP, and we look even yesterday with the National Defensive Player of the Year, Aliyah Boston used both occasions to highlight her teammates, LA and Bree Beal. Talk a little bit about how much that attitude, that selflessness has impacted the personality and character of your team, and also when it comes to the winning formula for South Carolina, in addition to what we see on the court, the strength and conditioning, the preparation that we don't see off the court, how that has played a factor?
Yep. I mean, Aliyah Boston, there will not be another Aliyah Boston. Her selflessness, her ability to meet moments on the court and off the court, and it's authentic, it's organic, it's genuine. She really means everything that she says out of her mouth. Like, she really means it. So I'm not surprised that she used in that moment where she's being recognized and rewarded for the efforts that she's given our team over the past 4 years, to bestow it on someone else on her team is Aliyah Boston like. And then, I mean, our strength and conditioning coach, they call performance coaches now, our athletic trainer, I mean, they are the ones that when we are our most healthiest, we are our most successful. And a lot has to do with Molly Benetti and Craig Oates, who, I mean, and they get along. Like, I do think they go out drinking too at times. But they have built a relationship to where, you know, they work well together. They book in our players into getting their mind, body, and souls in a place where they have to get up to practice like we practice every single day. So they have a lot to do with that, because we're as coaches, we're not a part of that. You know, the performance coach and the trainer are joined at the hip to make sure that our players are in a great position to perform every single day. So to be at the Final Four, to prep for the semifinals game tomorrow, a lot of credit has to go to them in making sure that our players are ready to rock and roll.
We'll take our final question from the back row.
Hi, Coach Newey Scruggs, NBC Dallas. We're the same age, so I have followed your career from the time you played at Virginia, and I've always wanted to ask you, that great team that you were on with Tammy and Heidi, not winning it all, has that fueled you in terms of your success? Because you've won everywhere since, at all levels, as a player and a coach.
I mean, it used to fuel me when we hadn't won. Now is, you know, I think basketball has a strange way of just looking out for the people who really do it for the purity of it. Like, I love basketball. I love what I do. And I do think I'm favored in a lot of guys. A favor has shined bright on my career. But no, I'm not driven by it anymore. But it was one of my lifelong dreams as a child growing up in North Philly in the projects. I only saw women play 2 times on television. That was the Olympics, and that was the national championship game. And that was the driving force in me wanting to accomplish that, because at that time that was the biggest, and it's probably still the biggest thing besides playing in the league.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you all for covering our game.